Can you hear me? Come on back. Can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Just want to make sure you can hear me. All right. Bless his name. Thank you so much. Let everybody know we back in live in action. Let them know we back in action. Go ahead and invite everybody. Let them know we are back in action. So grateful to have all of you. Sorry for that. We were having some technical difficulties there for a moment, but we are back and live. Welcome to our medical minute tonight. All right. Let everybody know we're back. I need everybody to invite somebody. Tonight is a very, very good topic tonight. Tonight is a very good topic, and we have a very special guest tonight from Parkland. As you've seen on the flyer, they have they are doing with us medical minutes throughout the year, and so we have a very special guest tonight. I'm excited to have her. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead and get everybody back. I see the numbers are going back up. And tonight, just want to make sure we are abreast of what's happening in our congregation, local church. But before that, let me go ahead and pray, and then we'll get the announcements out, and then I'll turn it over to our guests. Father, thank you for tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to take care of ourselves as you've called us to be faithful stewards over our whole life. So not just over our money, not just over spiritual matters, but even social matters, even our health, mental health, physical health. And so, God, we're praying that as tonight's conversation takes place, that we will take heed to what information is disseminated as people, as a church, and be aware of how we may take care of this temple that you've given us. And so, Lord, bless our speaker tonight, our presenter. May you take care of her family, and even her career. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Just real quick, before we get started, remember to Sunday morning, we've changed times and places. So meet us at Prairie Creek Apartment Complex there. We're excited about partnering with our local residents in Pleasant Grove. Our worship time is switched from 8:30 to 9:15. And so please join us there. Not only that, but we are excited about our men meeting on Saturday morning. Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We're going to be, our men are meeting at Griff's on Buckner for burgers and Bible. And so I'm excited about that. And then we have launched our relaunch committee. And so be praying for them as they take the helm of relaunching our church come August. And so I'm excited about that group. But without further ado, I want to bring on a special guest tonight. Her name is Shayla Camacho. I think I said it right. And so I'm excited to have her on. She is a great part of Parkland, and she is going to share with us what it's like to deal with rape victims. Am I right? And
Yes.
other aspects of that. And so please, please, please accept her and put your comments in the chat, and we'll also have Q&A after this is over. Welcome to Pivot Church.
Thank you so much for having me, Pastor. It's such an honor. Hi, everybody. And you said my name absolutely perfectly, so you're good.
All right, great. Well, hey, the floor is all yours. Feel free. This is your home, and do whatever you need to do.
Awesome. Perfect. So first things first, one thing I want everyone to know about me is that I am super good at staying on time and staying on track. So I will not take more time than is necessary. Trust and believe that. But I do want to share with you guys, every single one who is here tuned in, my screen, because I do believe that a lot of people love visual learning. I am one of those people that are visual learners through and through. So let me go ahead and share my PowerPoint. Feel free to ask any questions, like Pastor mentioned. Feel free to put those in the chat. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to answer those questions, and let me go ahead and get started. So I work for Parkland. I know some of y'all either are like super excited or you're like, Parkland, and it's okay. Just know that we strive our very best to help our entire community. And one of the ways that we strive to be there and be present is having a department such as the one I work for, which is the VIP clinic, which stands for Victim Intervention. And so we are actually able to help Dallas County residents over the age of 4 who have been victims of a violent crime. So for a very long time in society, people have always said, what happens at home stays at home, right? Don't air out your dirty laundry, keep the quiet to keep the peace. And every time I hear that, I always question whose peace are we guarding? Because majority of the time, we're not guarding the piece of the victim, right? We're keeping those voiceless without a voice. And so because of predecessors before me, because of survivors that came before me, we have and are still creating programs that will better serve our community, specifically people who have been victims of a violent crime. And when I say that, I mean anybody that has gone through domestic violence, sexual assault, in some cases that will be rape, human trafficking, family violence, childhood abuse, assault, or were victims of a hate crime, survivors of a homicide, which means I witnessed something go down, right? A lot of these issues, a lot of these traumas do affect us in one way or another, no matter how hard we say that it's in the past or I'm going to forget about it. I do want to bring to light that April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, and it's also Sexual Assault Awareness. Out downtown, you're going to see the skyline, our beautiful skyline, turn either teal or blue in honor of our survivors, in honor of the victims who unfortunately weren't able to make it, right? And so I always want to give space to anybody who is currently going through a really rough situation or is trying to survive in the environment that they're in, and even our survivors who were able to come out of it, because I understand that that's not everybody's case. And so that's why I'm so very grateful to the pastor, to every single one of you guys for tuning in and listening. I have learned to become very comfortable in the uncomfortable, right? No one loves to hear about these issues. But guess what? That's why we have people like myself. I have been working with survivors of a violent crime for a little bit over a decade. And I know a lot of times people are like, how is that possible? You look so young. Thank you. It's a lot of water and it's genetics. I'm not even going to lie. I made sure that there were some really good filters in here before it went live. But yes, I want you guys to know that there is a service out there. I'm going to give you our phone number in case you guys have any more questions, in case you'd like to set up an appointment. And so within the VIP clinic, we're able to offer these 3 services completely free of cost. Doesn't matter your zip code, doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, doesn't matter when or where the crime occurred. So we have 40s and their 50s who experience a type of trauma back when they were teenagers or even younger, and now they're ready to process. There's a big difference between a disclosure, which means someone lets me know what happened, and when someone is ready to process. Those are 2 different things. And so I want you guys to know that the counseling, we are available for that. Advocacy, we're definitely available for that. And education outreach, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into every single one of these components, because I want you guys, if you ever refer anybody in your congregation, anybody in your neighborhood, anybody in your family to us, I want you to know exactly what it looks like. I hate it when I see people who are excited to go to the gym and they sign a contract and they're like, okay, I'm locked in for a year and I'm paying my monthly dues and I'm excited. I got my water bottle, I got a towel because people sweat, and they get ready to go to the gym and they open the doors to the gym and it smells like feet and the people are rude and half the machines don't work and you're just kind of like, well, there goes my motivation, or what did I get myself into? I don't want people to feel like that when somebody is referred to our VIP clinic, which is why I'm here today, because I want you guys to know exactly kind of what we do and our background. So our counseling services, for example, they're all virtual. To receive counseling services, we start off with virtual groups first, and they're all psychoeducational in both English and Spanish. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Shayla, like, why do you have them virtual? I prefer in person. And I definitely understand and respect that. But something that we looked at from a macro level, something that we were seeing, okay, what are some of the barriers preventing people from receiving our services? So we looked deeply, we looked at all our zip codes, we looked at the population that we were serving, and a lot of people said two big things. Barrier for number one was transportation. Even though I know DART is right there, right in the smack middle of our campus, I understand that sometimes getting even to that point takes a while. It could take 45 minutes or an hour and a half. And then there's like an hour session of virtual group or group, and then another half an hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half to go back home. So that was almost 3-4 hours of somebody's time just dedicated to even coming, getting the services, and going back home. And I'm just like, that's a big gap. That's a huge time commitment for a lot of people. And so that's why we first looked into virtual groups. We wanted to eliminate transportation. And the second thing we wanted to eliminate was childcare and daycare. Trust and believe, I know I live within the city of Dallas. I just bought a house here. I understand how expensive Dallas County is. And that means I also understand how expensive childcare can be. And so again, if it was taking people 3 hours to come get our hours every single week, and that can definitely add up. And so we wanted the finances to not be a barrier either, right? So finances, transportation, and daycare, which is why we pivoted more towards virtual groups. So this is why we have them this way. And then the other thing, our clinic is open Mondays through Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Fridays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4:30, because we also work with kiddos. Like I said at the beginning, we work with kids starting at the age of 4, and those are the ones that we do see in person. We have 2 incredible play therapy rooms. We have phenomenal counselors, y'all. Like sometimes I'm like, I wish I didn't know you so I could have you as a therapist. They're really amazing, spectacular. All of them have more than 5 years of experience, 10, even some of them have even 25 years of experience. They're incredible. They're magnificent. And they've all specialized in this specific type of counseling, which is going to be for victims of a violent crime. So really focusing in on that trauma. So we offer different modalities. It could be DBT, CBT, TFCBT, EMDR, a bunch of little alphabet letters that I'm like, this means we're legit, essentially. And just because of how amazing our counselors are, a lot of people are like, are you sure this is free? Definitely. We didn't want the barrier that someone couldn't afford it for them not to receive services. It takes a tremendously, tremendously strong person and courageous person to pick up this phone, to make that phone call, to set up an appointment, to start receiving counseling services. And so our work and quality doesn't diminish because of how much a population can or cannot pay for. So just know that we have an incredible team, definitely passionate about they're here Mondays through Saturdays, making it work, seeing our patients. And usually our wait time for adults is usually just 2 weeks. I know some people are like, what do you mean 2 weeks? It's like, it's usually 4 or 5 months out, not this one, not this department. So I do want you guys to know that we're definitely available. The other thing I wanted you guys to know, Parkland has taken strides and initiatives of meeting exactly the victims where they are. And so we're so happy to let you guys know that within our VIP program, we have trained advocates. Most of them already have their master's degree that can be paged 24/7 within our main campus that will talk to the patient in their patient room privately about safety planning, about crisis intervention, knowing what their rights are. If they do or don't want to press charges, I really want to make that very clear. Our advocates are not there to force a report. We're not there to guarantee emergency shelter, nothing like that. But we don't know what we don't know. How many of us knew that there are 8 domestic violence agencies that have shelters for both women and their kids? How many of you knew that there's an emergency shelter dedicated for just men and their kids who have been victims of domestic violence, right? So knowing what your rights are, knowing what your options can be, eliminating one of the barriers as to why a lot of survivors are prevented from leaving is because a lot of them don't even know that there are resources out there and resources that are completely free. So this is where our advocates get to come in, get to talk with our patients, get to let them know all these great things. And at the end of the day, the patient has definitely the right to be like, get out of my room. I don't want any more information, or thank you, I'm really interested. Can you explain a little bit more? And every interaction that a patient has with our advocates is completely free. It is not an additional charge to them when they're in the hospital with us for talking to an advocate. And then last but not least, I want you guys to know that we have an education outreach component within the VIP clinic. And so that means that it's me along with my counterpart. We just hired her. I'm so excited to have her. Her name is Beatriz. And so we get to go throughout all of Dallas County, whether it's in person, virtual, like we're currently doing right now, or it's television or radio interviews, whatever it may be, getting to talk about and providing special trainings about what exactly is domestic violence, what exactly is sexual assault, what are some tools and prevention tips for child abuse prevention, right? What are the 4 different types of relationships that exist in this world, and how do we go about setting those boundaries? I have a wonderful presentation where we talk about just digital abuse, right? Learning and educating adults who have kids not to be afraid of the technology, rather just educating ourselves exactly what it looks like, what it can be, and having some safety planning in between. One of my favorite trainings I get to do throughout Dallas County is an activity called In Her Shoes. It's an experiential learning. It's survivor based. It's evidence based. It's basically a choose your own adventure book in a way. I give you a character. We go through different steps, and depending on the decisions that you make, it gives you an outcome to this character. So really creating a lens of empathy. What I've done and what I've learned going out into the community is that it's not that people don't want to hear this message. It's not that people don't believe survivors. It's just that as humans, we genuinely want to believe that every person we interact with is good, right? We want to believe that humanity has our best interests at heart, right? And unfortunately, sometimes that means looking the other way. Unfortunately, that can be ignoring it or telling that kid that they're making it up. Rather than silencing a victim, learning to empower them and giving them the tools, right? Like a lot of times, a lot of people are afraid of a disclosure. They're afraid that their family member, that their friend is going to tell them something because well, guess what? There is no perfect solution. There is not one right answer, but I do want you guys to know that there are trainings that we are able to provide in case that does happen. Like, okay, what are some protocols we have in place, right? So incredible trainings. Again, it's available for you guys in English and in Spanish. All you have to do is just book us and let us know. And also, we are in your community. So if you ever see us, feel free to say hi. Feel free to invite us out to health fairs, church events. I remember doing it was a trunk or treat for the church. So, just passing out information along with candy never hurt anybody. So just knowing that we're thinking of creative ways to make sure that we are navigating this conversation. Because like I said, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I want you to know that over half the women in the United States and about 1 in 3 men have been or will be sexually assaulted, right, by somebody that they know. And so when I talk about these statistics, a lot of times people are like, that can't be true, or that's not me, or that's not affecting my family. When in reality, a lot of times, are we that safe adult where that person is going to feel comfortable disclosing, right? So educating ourselves is a great, great way of creating a bridge of communication towards prevention. Our job, the job that I do, the job that our counselors do, the job that our advocates do, a lot of that is going to be intervention, right? Once something has happened, what do we do? Right? Whether it may be like, well, we're going to do a safety planning, we're going to transport them here, we're going to provide this, X, Y, and Z, realizing that, hey, what can we do to prevent it? And a lot of times it's just, as society, reminding people that we're going to believe them, that we're not going to judge them regardless of where they are, what they look like, how they smell, how much money they make, what they do or don't believe in. None of that matters. Very few things in our life don't discriminate. And unfortunately, one of those things is going to be trauma and abuse. And so let's anchor ourselves in becoming more equitable and becoming more knowledgeable and bringing this awareness to our community, right? And it starts with conversations like this. It starts with educating. How many of y'all knew today that Parkland even had the VIP program embedded in it, right? And we've been around for over 20 years now. And it's completely free, available to Dallas County residents. And it's just getting that word out, making sure we know what our resources resources are. And so one thing that we do, and something that to me, this was my passion project. It took 2 years to make, y'all. 2 years. Like, this is how dedicated I am. And so this is what we call a shoe card. This typically will go in a person's like wallet or shoe or in their bra, very discreet, where we have our information that we give them, right? The material it is made out of is sweat resistant, because guess what? Texas is hot and it's humid and it's all kinds of weird weather. And so we don't want all our information to smear because it was in somebody's shoe or in somebody's bra, or again, in somebody's wallet. So we wanted to make sure that was sweat resistant. It's also tear resistant, which means it's really hard for this person to rip it. I mean, again, if they want to rip it, they'll definitely be able to do it, but you got to put in a lot of that effort. And so at the very front of the shoe card, it's going to have our information, who we are, what our services look like, and how do you access us right there. You call our phone number and we set up an appointment. And it's that simple. I don't need a doctor referral. I don't need a nurse referral. I don't need a police report number saying that this was your case. None of that. If you tell me that you have suffered a violent crime, we will look into all of that stuff for us, and then we'll set you up with an appointment. It's as simple as that. And then if you're still really curious, you're like, Shayla, I'm not too sure. Let's take it back a step. I'm not ready. I'm not quite ready to call. That's okay. Our Parkland website is on there as well. So you just put parklandhealth.org and /VIP, or you just go to parklandhealth.org and then you just put in VIP in the search engine and we pop up. And again, it's going to have the same information that I'm talking to you guys about. And on the inside of the shoe card, it's going to have national numbers because, like I told you, we work with human trafficking victims as well. And so sometimes that means that they're not always going to be in Dallas County. Sometimes they get moved to another county. They could be moved up to Denton County, Collin County, and McKinney, San Antonio, wherever it may be. So sometimes the information, like the very front part, may not be relevant, but we want to still make sure that they still got adequate help. So National Domestic Violence Hotline, National Sexual Assault Hotline, Crime Victims Compensation, the National Human Trafficking Hotline, all of these are available to you. All of these amazing entities also have websites where you can dig a little bit deeper about, hey, what is trending? What is going on? I heard this is what's happening on Facebook, or I heard this is happening on TikTok. I also tell people be very careful of that fear mongering. A lot of these cases, most of the time, I'm like, that's not even a thing. So again, be really well-educated. Let's make sure we share information that is true and fact-finding. So I always say I recommend all these great organizations. And then at the very end of that shoe card, it's going to be mental health crisis and the suicide prevention lifeline. I know in some cases, after a violent crime has occurred, people's mindsets are very different. Some people say, I'm very lucky to be alive. Some people are going to get very angry. Some people shut down. Some people try to forget all these great things. At the end of the day, I understand that we have a huge epidemic when it comes to suicide, like huge, y'all, and it's just increasing, and it's really starting to affect a lot of our community members. And when I mean community members, I'm talking about people of color, especially within our males. And so I want us to know what the red flags are, know what the yellow flags may be. Every person on this call, you can also be certified with, it's called mental health first aid. All of you can take a class. It's a long class, I'm not going to lie. But it's a class that will talk to you guys about mental health and that safety, like mental health, right? So mental health safety, what can I do? What does it look like? All these great things. And then the teen dating violence hotline. The youth are everywhere and they're coming in masses. And one thing I appreciate about youth is that there are really, really, really becoming emotionally intelligent people. Like, it's crazy. And so one thing I always recommend, I always ask the audience, how many of you are single? Raise your hand. How many of you are in a relationship? Raise your hand. And how many of you are in multiple relationships, right? One thing I always want the community to know is that if you ever go to loveisrespect.org, you can take a quiz online and it tells you whether or not you're in a healthy relationship. And there's even a better quiz out there right at that same website, loveisrespect.org, where you could take a quiz and it tells you whether or not you're a healthy partner. Because it's very easy for people to say, you forgot our anniversary, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and point fingers everywhere but myself, right? And so sometimes I'm like, hey, if we're quick to clock that, then let's make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. Part of a healthy relationship is that equality and that accountability. And so it's not just for teens, although it's got some incredible information on there. If you have a teenager, if you have grandkids, godkids, if you have family members that are below the age of 18, go ahead and even actually, let me scratch that. Because I know a couple of adults that I'm just like, how old are we? What are we doing? They can still take that quiz. So I definitely recommend it. And then another incredible website, something that I wish more community members knew. Now you guys are going to know. So go ahead, and once you know it, once you feel comfortable with it, go ahead and share it, is the findhelp.org website. Some of you have heard about it, and that's awesome. And then some of you haven't, and that's what I'm here for. And so if you ever need help with, let's say you're looking for something, food pantries, diapers, wipes, utility assistance, rental assistance, dental assistance, right, at low cost and things of that nature, go to findhelp.org, select the language that you prefer, and put in your zip code. So depending on your zip code, it'll give you resources within your area, right? There's no point of me putting in findhelp.org and then me getting a resource, but it being like, oh, that's all the way in Waxahachie. No, thank you. Gas is expensive. Not going to do that one. So you get to put in that zip code. It gives you that area. For example, my zip code 75235. You go in there. I look at, there's 3,000 organizations within that area that can help me with different things. And again, you get to go in, you decide what you're looking for. So that website is findhelp.org. If you don't feel comfortable searching online, some of us don't, that's okay. Feel free to just call 211. And then you'll be able to be like, okay, I'm looking for food pantries. I'm looking for maybe some activities for my kids for this summer, right? I know I just was a part of a community coalition meeting, and Brother Bills is having some conferences, some summer camps, not conferences, summer camps for kiddos in the summer. And I think the fee is only $5. But if you can't pay the $5, then there's something they can do and waive that fee. So I was like, that's fantastic. That's great information. So yeah, go and findhelp.org. Really, really good stuff on there as well. And then last but not least, I wanted to make sure that you guys had my email. It's right there, shayla.camacho@phhs.org. If you guys have questions, have concerns, you want a copy of this PowerPoint, because guess what? I'm not gonna gatekeep anything. It's of no use for me to keep all this information, right? I need to share it. I need to disseminate it. People work super hard to make sure these organizations exist. So I'm working really hard to bridge that communication and make sure everybody knows that they exist. And sometimes people are really shy. They're like, I don't want to email you. I'm like, you see this little thingy getting overwhelmed and drowned in emails. That's everybody's life. We all get all these emails, but just know that at Parkland, there is a resource in case you are looking for counseling, in case you are looking for that education. It's definitely available. Feel free to call our office. Like I told you, we're open Mondays through Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Fridays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we're definitely here. I really want to thank everybody for your time. Like I said, I'm really, really strict on making sure I stay within my time frame, because we got food to eat, time to go to bed, rest for tomorrow, because life still goes on. But I did want to make sure I had enough time in case any of you had any questions about domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, anything like that, or if you need me to talk a little bit deeper about a specific service, feel free to put that in the chat. That is what I am here for. And let's check to see if anybody has any questions, any comments.
I do see one. How can someone not in Dallas County get help with VIP?
Okay, so unfortunately, we work within Parkland, so our services are only limited to Dallas County residents. But that's when I would recommend looking into findhelp.org, because in there is a tab that says, if you were looking for counseling, for example, it says mental health, and it will list organizations and agencies that either offer therapy completely free or at very low cost. So I do want you guys to know that's definitely an option. Again, we're trying to eliminate those barriers. And unfortunately, we are tethered to Dallas County, but we're hoping that other hospitals start to kind of adapt a program like VIP but I'm going to be very transparent. It's a very costly department to hold, which is why a lot of hospitals within the state of Texas don't even have it. So we're very, very fortunate, but we only exist because survivors made sure that we had a program within. And so if I am talking to a survivor in the chat, if you guys are listening, just know that we believe you. And I want to thank you for your courage, because even if you're still in that relationship, you're still navigating through it, you're still surviving. And I want to give space and hold space for that.
I really appreciate you, because this is a really, really great program. I do have a couple of questions that you might be able. Find Help used to be Aunt Bertha, am I right?
It used to be, yeah, they rebranded.
Okay.
I preferred Aunt Bertha. I was like, that's such a cool name.
Yeah. And also, can you go a little bit more into depth on what is classified as domestic violence?
Yes. And so for purposes in general, we still say domestic violence. And in our world, we say domestic abuse, because domestic violence has like that idea of man beats up woman, and it's typically husband hurting wife, when in reality, domestic abuse is anybody in an intimate relationship. So it could be marriage, it could be dating, it could be common law, it could be that we're just talking. It's still going to be considered an intimate relationship. And when we talk about domestic abuse, it's a series of pattern behavior, right? It's not an isolated incident. It's something that has continually happened and in different forms of abuse. So we know that there's verbal, digital abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, and then emotional abuse as well. And so we do hold that umbrella and that space, because it's never just something. And if I'm being completely honest with you, Pastor, I used to work at a shelter. I mean, when I'm talking, these people left because their life was at risk, right? People had bruises. Some people looked just like me, right? Like common, whatever. And one thing that a lot of survivors say, that they're like, well, the hardest thing to overcome was the verbal abuse, right? Bruises go away. I've left that space. I've gotten my own little place. I've gotten a job, but I can still feel those looks. I can still hear those words when I close my eyes. And so counseling is definitely available, even if it was quote unquote just verbal abuse, because we know how damaging that can be. I always tell people, I bet you still cook a certain way, you fold your clothes a certain way, because you can still hear your mom or your dad be like, that's not right. And I'm like, that wasn't even abusive, but you still have those voices in your head. And so how daunting it can be for someone who has experienced that, and unfortunately in an unhealthy relationship.
Absolutely. There's a question in the comments. No matter the age, if someone needs help, they can get it. Are they able to be anonymous?
So they cannot be anonymous, because you would be a patient within Parkland, but we do have what we call break the glass. So that means that all our notes, anything that's done, is covered with like a cyber curtain in a way. So like, even like nowadays, if you go to the hospital and you have your MyChart, you're able to look at your doctor's notes. You're able to see, oh, that's my next appointment. You won't be able to see any of that within the VIP realm, because of specific legislation that blocks it to create a more robust and a more private encounter for our survivors. Because we also know that Parkland Hospital is a catch-all hospital. So sometimes that means that we're also treating the trafficker, we're treating the abuser, we're treating the rapist, right? We're not going to diminish that quality of care either, but we don't want our patients to run that risk of bumping in or like meeting in that same place. So if we ever have to meet in person for whatever reason, our waiting room, you have to buzz in, you have to badge in, you have to make sure there's an appointment, there's no walk-ins for safety purposes. And that's also one of the reasons why we remain virtual, is because we want you to feel safe in your home, especially if you were assaulted using public transportation. Again, I don't want you to have to be triggered or relive that every time you come visit us. So we did think of a trauma-informed care approach when providing our services. So unfortunately, you cannot be anonymous, but I do want you to know that we do take that safety precaution. It is always at the forefront, on top of confidentiality, every interaction we have when it comes to our patients.
is there something? I know you mentioned the first visit is virtual. Is there something if the victim is still living with the abuser?
Yes, which is why we actually will talk to the patient about saying what time works best for you to join our virtual groups, because you can still be in that abusive relationship and receive our services, because we are never going to pressure someone to leave. And people are like, whoa, what do you mean you're not going to tell them to leave? What do you mean you're not going to tell? I can't guarantee the patient's safety. That is why we'll never tell them to leave, because I can't guarantee your safety. The person in the situation knows exactly their partner. They know when it's safe, they know when it's not. So we're never going to force or rush anything. But we are able to do, if they're still in the abusive relationship, we're able to provide safety planning resources for if and when they are ready. We already have it in place. The Go Bag, copies of their birth certificate, copies of their license. Do you guys share a bank account? Do you share children? Do they have their last name? Do they have access to their school? Do they have access to your job? We take a lot of things into consideration because it is a huge step. And again, there is no pressure. It's not like, okay, you said February or you said April 5th, 2024, that's when you're leaving, so you have to go. Nothing like that. But we still currently see patients that may still be in that relationship.
You mentioned something about training for individuals who may be interested in helping with mental health. Am I right?
Yes. So it's called Mental Health First Aid. The Mental Health of America, Greater Dallas, MHA, they offer that training. And right now, like, I don't want to step on toes, but I believe most of it they can waive the fee. If not, I know there are certain agencies that are able to provide those courses. I know it's about I believe when I last took it, it was a $40 training, but it's 6 hours long, and you come home with a book, and you're able to there's an adult version for like if you work with adults or you have adults, and there's a teen version if there are youth in your life. And so and I tell people, if you can get that training, if you can get Narcan training, like y'all, like that is just a huge thing. Understand the repercussions, understand exactly how that is, what that looks like. Fentanyl is not something that it looks like it's going away, unfortunately. And so what we want to do is that prevention. How can we save a life? And so I know that there are other agencies that also, like the Recovery Resource Council, that offer those kinds of trainings as well. Again, we want the community to be well educated, because it hurts my heart when I sit on a fatality review team and we look at the case and it's just like lack of awareness or lack of knowledge was that gap. Especially if we can provide it, let's go ahead and educate ourselves.
Wonderful. I see Jamelia just put in the chat that she'll be talking about it tomorrow at our board meeting.
Oh, perfect. Look at that. Manifesting it.
Yeah, wonderful. She says we have one in May. So here's what I want to tell you, Pivot. If you want to take that training, please let me know so we can get you scheduled for. I'd love to have at least 2 people in our church trained in this, because one of the things that I know and I believe in is that every mental issue is not demon possession. It doesn't mean that a person has a demon. They may actually need some help. And so we want to be able to distinguish and decipher between the two, whether we need to pray for them or they need to see a psychologist or psychiatrist. If that's the case, we can throw all on them on the way to the hospital. I'm just saying.
Parkland has a psych unit, y'all.
Yeah. We do have something else in the chat. Do you have houses for those who want to separate immediately?
Us personally at Parkland, we don't do the emergency shelter, but we can definitely refer you or let you know, like the agencies such as Genesis Women's Shelter, Hope's Door New Beginning Center, the Family Place, the Salvation Army, not like the Homeless Salvation Army, but the Salvation Army. They have a department specifically for domestic violence as well. The Women's Center. And so there's a lot of agencies out there that do offer that. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. There is a huge shortage of shelters. But we also know that safety is at the forefront of this. So if you do feel like there is a need, I recommend the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They will automatically look at you let them know your zip code. They will navigate with you. These are trained advocates. They have all the licensure trainings that they need to help you navigate that if you're looking for emergency shelter.
Awesome, awesome. Anyone else have any other questions? Anyone else have any other questions? How can I get my hands on some of those VIP cards that you have?
Oh, I'll send them to you.
I do remember you now from the
Trunk or
trunk.
treat.
Yeah, yeah. What's up, girl? How you? You're good. It's good to see you again.
I know. I was like, I've been in your community. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you're able to educate your congregation. There's a lot of places where they're like, we don't have this issue, we don't need to talk about it, but realizing that the issue is everywhere. It's just having leadership that cares enough to provide this education. So I want to really give you your kudos as well for having this and creating this space.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see Jamelia says she can get them and get them to me. Thank you so much, Jamelia. Awesome, awesome. Well, she's great. I'm telling you, she's on top.
Oh, she's on it. No one take her from us.
I'm telling you, she's great. She's great. Anyone else have anything else to add to this? I would like to have you back to talk about children more. Your program In Her Shoes.
Yeah.
And we can actually maybe do that in person. And I think that'll really be awesome.
Fantastic. Be awesome. Of course. No, thank you guys. Thank you everyone who tuned in. And don't forget about the Prairie Creek Complex, right? At 9:15 on Sunday.
Come on.
Woo!
I love it. I love it. And let's see. One other thing. Could you give me those websites again for Respect? What was the relationship?
Love
website?
is Respect.
Love is Respect and findhelp.org.
Yes.
All right. Love is Respect and findhelp.org. Make sure you check those out. Everyone is telling you thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
And if you ever need Pivot Church or myself or anything, feel free to reach out to us. And can you put your info up one more time, or have you closed it out?
I can put my information up. Absolutely. That is always, I can definitely always share my screen with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I want everyone to know exactly how they can reach out to you. Let's see. There it is, everyone. Make sure you get that information. She is a super help for anyone that's in need. Again, it's from ages 4 and up. The program is for ages 4 and up, and she is able to get some assistance to whoever needs it. Last question: does it have to be just you said domestic abuse? What other avenues do you service?
Anybody that's been a victim of a mugging, they witnessed a homicide, child abuse, sexual abuse, trafficking, amongst a few of them, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So it's not just domestic, everyone. It's a whole array. If you have questions about anything, just give her a shout, and I'm sure she'll be able to direct you in the path you need to go.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you again, and I look forward to connecting with you one more time. You have a good evening.
Likewise. Have a great night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Pivot, I just want to tell you thank you so much for tuning in. I pray you have a great evening. This was amazing tonight. This session was absolutely wonderful. We're going to have her back to do some other things within our context because we need the knowledge. We need to understand what to do if certain situations arise, and I want you to be armed with knowledge. Again, if you want to take those certifications, those 6 hours to get certified in knowing how to deal with people who may have some mental illnesses, I want to make sure you're equipped with that. And so just let me know. And again, I want at least 2 of our members to be able to take advantage of that, okay? I'm going to pray us out. Remember, as she said, Sunday, 9:15 in Prairie Creek, but then on Saturday at 10 a.m., Griff's on Buckner Avenue for our men. And I'm excited about what God's going to do and what He is doing. Let me pray. Father, thank you for tonight. Thank you for just being good to us. And we pray for all victims of domestic abuse, God, and any other situations that they may find themselves in that has weighed on them mentally, emotionally, and even physically. God, I pray for a swift release. I pray for swift action that, God, they may be removed from those, that they would recover and be able to move forward in life, knowing their worth, knowing their value, knowing that you've created for them for a purpose. And Lord, I believe that you have something greater waiting for them. They just have to take the steps. So give them the boldness and the audacity and the courage to move on, to walk away, to press forward, forgetting those things which are behind and pressing forward to the call that is in Christ Jesus. Father, I thank you for what you're doing. I thank you for Parkland and the program that they have in place to be able to assist individuals who may be going through situations such as what was named tonight. God, bless all of those doctors and nurses and program coordinators and do your thing. We bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. God bless you. God keep you. I love you so much. Take care. Be strong and courageous. Peace, peace.